I counted at least 10 vehicles. It looked like an ATF raid. You think you own something? You don't own nothing.
You think you own something, you don't own nothing.
And they were right. The attorneys that I talked to said TVA's never lost a battle against citizens in court ever. How much farmland? I said, it's a little over 6,000 acres.
6,000 acres?
That it was going to tear up. We're all good around here. Like that. That's how he talks. And then I showed him President Trump's number. Maybe we should call him right now. Let's just call him right now. Huh? Have you heard what TVA's doing around here in Cheatham County? I said, no, what are they doing? He said, they're wanting to drop a 900 megawatt methane gas plant with 10 acres of lithium batteries storage. And he told me the address. I said, do what? They're putting it there? He goes, yeah. I said, how many houses are over there? He said, about 500. He said, and also 5 schools are within 5 miles of this place. And also it's right on top of the main water supply for Ashton City and Pleasant View, Tennessee. I said, how can they do that? He goes, I don't know, but they're doing it. Like they're taking people's land. They're showing up they're showing up full force. I said, okay, let me dig into this. So I start digging around and I find one of the locals there who was dealing with him. And sure enough, man, this lady is next door neighbors to this really old lady named Mrs. Nicholson. She's about 88 years old and has dementia. And she lives on a family farm that's been in their family for more than a century. So they refer to that as a century farm. And the lady that ran over there when TVA showed up grabbed her GoPro, her camera, and filmed the TVA marching across this woman's field, walking up into her yard. I counted at least 10 vehicles. It looked like an ATF raid. And here's these guys standing out there all tough with their bulletproof vests and their loaded guns standing there. And this guy's going, now we're going to have to come on your property now, da-da-da-da-da. And the old lady looks into the camera and says, you think you own something? You don't own nothing. She snapped out of her dementia for about 10 seconds and said that into the camera. Well, this lady I found and was talking to showed me that footage, and I'm telling you, my blood ran cold. It ran like ice. I got so mad that in America this can happen. And when I saw that old lady, I thought about my Granny Rich, because she kind of had that look, that country, worn, hard-working old lady look. And I said, well, wonder if we could shove them out of this county. They go, you don't shove TVA out of nothing. And they were right. The attorneys that I talked to said TVA's never lost a battle against citizens in court ever.
We'll roll that clip right now.
Yeah, they don't lose. I said, well, let's see how they deal with public shame and humiliation and scrutiny. She goes, what are you going to do? I said, can you introduce me to some of these other neighbors that have experienced this? She goes, yeah, George Wade's right down the road. I said, great, I'll go grab my iPhone and my selfie stick. And so I did. Went out and met Mr. Wade and his wife. He's close to 80 years old. And he looks like Wilford Brimley, but with red hair. Remember Wilford Brimley?
No.
Big old, he looks like a walrus, like just gruff looking guy. I sat down with Mr. Wade, turned that thing on, and let him tell the story. And then I started commenting, and I posted that on X, just on my X channel there. And in 3 days, it had like 4 million views just on that. I went, oh, okay. And I'm tagging TVA and everything. I'm going to go do another interview. So I went out and interviewed another person. Then I interviewed another one, and then another one. And then I interviewed the mayor of the county. And then I interviewed the mayor of Pleasant View, Tennessee. And I start posting these videos. Local news starts picking up on it. Next thing you know, I get a unknown caller coming in on my phone, and I answer it. And it is Secretary Rollins, head of the USDA, Department of Agriculture. I'm like, well, hello. She goes, I hope you don't mind. I got your number from somebody else. I said, that's fine. She said, let me ask you something. I'm watching this TVA fight. How much farmland is involved with this? Because they're running pipelines, transmission lines. I said, yes, ma'am. How much farmland? I said, it's a little over 6,000 acres.
6,000 acres?
That it was going to tear up. She goes, yeah, that's not okay. She said, tell you what, let me dig into this further. Well, the next day, you see her commenting on one of my X posts. On it, she just puts all caps, on it, at Sec Rollins. I said, okay, well, that got everybody. That got local news, local radio. Everybody's talking about it. And then I get a visit from the head of the senior vice president of government relations for the TVA. So he's the mouthpiece for the TVA. He's a good old country boy. Talks like this, Shawn. Now, you know we're all good around here. Like that. That's how he talks. Came to my house. I knew he was coming. I said, bring him. Let's go. I can't wait to talk to this guy. So I sat him down there at my house right where you were not long ago when we first met. And I looked at him and I said, explain to me why in America you can bring bulletproof vests and guns and 10 to 12 vehicles on an old lady's property and demand access to her century-old farm when you don't have a warrant or probable cause. That's my first question for you. Now, John, I mean, we do have a force out there because sometimes, as you can imagine, we run into resistance. So I said, I bet you do run into resistance. I bet you do. And, you just never know. So we got to make sure we're protected. I said, well, I tell you what, you've got 2 weeks to get out of Cheatham County.
From an 88-year-old woman.
Yeah. I said, you got 2 weeks.
With dementia.
You got 2 weeks to get out of Cheatham County. I said, or I'm going to rebrand the TVA to the United States of America. I'm going to rebrand you to what you actually are. And I said, every time your name is Googled for the next 20 years, TVA, horrible press is going to come up on the TVA. Page after page after page. You will never get out from under it. You got 2 weeks. And I said, and at the end of the day, if we can't push you out on our own, I'll have to call this number. And then I showed him President Trump's number because that's who you answer to. I said, what do you think President Trump would say to you or anybody else at the TVA if I showed him the video of you on that old lady's property with guns and bulletproof vests demanding access with no warrant, no probable cause? What do you think President would say? You think he'd fire every last one of you, starting with you? I think he probably would. Maybe we should call him right now. Let's just call him right now. Huh? He went, well, no. I said, I bet. I said, you got 2 weeks. And then he left.
They left.
He left my house. He left my house. 2 weeks tricked by lawsuits coming in left and right on all these farmers, all these old people, all these just 70, 80 lawsuits. Half the people being sued didn't even have enough income to provide counsel for themselves. So they were walking into the courtroom with no attorney against a $500,000 a year retained attorney for the TVA, trying to argue their case, just slaughtering these people. I said, okay, well, that's it. I'm going to have to write a song about it. And I told him I would. I said, if you don't get out of Cheatham County in 2 weeks, his name's Justin Meyerhofer. I said, Justin, if you're not out of Cheatham County in 2 weeks, I'm going to write a song and I'm going to put it out and I'm going to have millions of Americans singing TVA next to the word devil. I'm going to have millions of people comparing you to the devil in a song and video. I don't think he believed I'd do it. I think he thought, John will be on tour. He'll get busy. He'll forget, whatever. 2 weeks clicked by. They didn't get out. Lawsuits keep piling up. They're charging forward. So I wrote the song, went in the studio and recorded it, shot the video to it, went out in that neighborhood of those farms, shot it on those farms where that dirt was. And it's so beautiful out there, where it was all going to take place. And as I'm working on all that, I get a text from the President of the United States. And he says, basically, we're killing the project. The project's not going to happen. Then Secretary Rollins, the project's not going to happen. So I'm seeing these texts, and I went, okay, when's TVA going to say the project's not happening? And the very next day, they put out a post on X and says, due to listening to our customers in Cheatham County, we've heard you, and we're abandoning the project in Cheatham County and looking for a more suitable place to put it. And what really happened is the President of the United States and Brooke Rollins kicked their ass, is what happened. And so this week, that song hits. It's called The Devil and the TVA. And the song was inspired by Mrs. Nicholson's statement of, you think you own something, but you don't own nothing. I took what she said, and that's the first line of the chorus.
Man.
You think you own something, but you don't own nothing. When the government man comes around, puts his dirty old boots on your ground and laughs at your protest with a gun and a bulletproof vest. He don't care what you have to say. He's just going to do it anyway. And he'll smile and grin and then take your farm away. He'll tear it all to hell right in your face. No, the devil ain't got nothing on the TVA. That's the chorus. So anybody watching that wants to go check that one out, go get it.
We'll put
Go
it in.
get it. It is a populist song that unfortunately too many Americans have had to survive, and some of them didn't. This onslaught of the TVA, I find them to be unconstitutional. I wish something would happen.
I mean, there's more to this too, because if I remember correctly, you reached out to a mayor in another part of Tennessee that had a abandoned power plant or something, right?
Yeah. So in West Tennessee, as I start this fight,
With the lines already.
all right. So as I start popping TVA in the nose over and over, and everybody's seeing this, I start getting phone calls from people I've never met. And one guy goes, "Hey, about 90 minutes from here in Humphreys County, there is over a square mile of land that's already owned by the TVA that already has pipelines running under it, transmission lines running over it. It used to be a giant coal plant there that Obama tore down. Obama tore it down, and they never put anything there. And they don't have to touch Cheatham County. Please come back to our county. We lost so many jobs when that thing went away. We lost our grocery stores. We had to consolidate our schools. Gas stations, like it just gutted our county. You tell TVA we'd welcome them back with open arms. And I did tell them that, and they didn't care. And so I told Brooke Rollins about that, and she said, "You know what? You need to speak to the energy department." So put me on an interview with the energy department with the mayors of those two rural counties, and now they're talking, and I think they're probably going to get TVA to develop something out there. Trump wants power. You got places to put it, but TVA has stood in the way. They'd rather tear up brand new ground than use ground they've already got, which begs the question, why? They won't answer that question. But again, it's one of those things that if I ain't going to stand up and do it, it ain't going to happen. I mean, the neighbors are screaming bloody murder, but they don't have a platform where anybody can hear them screaming. You know, you've run across lots of situations like that. You've got a big platform. You got them to stop spending money on the Taliban, right?
We're close.
You're close.
Still sitting on the Senate floor.
I mean, so I think
Got
you and I
boosted.
have that in common. We see something and we're like, I can't believe I'm the guy that's going to swing at him, but here we go.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.